Hello and welcome. Well, the issue is back on the table again, and we are pushing the Affirmative Action Bill. Now, since Ghana's independence, there's been one sort of either regional balance or gender equality. So you put in laws here and there to basically help women up the ladder, if they may say, or push them, or remove impediments in their way so they can advance the same as men. And then the issue then comes to political and decision-making positions. There aren't enough women there, so there are men making decisions that affect women. The women are saying, no, we need to be there to make our own decisions. But then there are certain areas which we need to question, like certain jobs should be reserved for women. Hold on. What if there's no woman, one may ask. But this issue, would it ever leave the table and would it ever come to pass? If it becomes law, then what happens? If you have work and there's a quota for you and you need to fill that quota with women and there aren't any women in the locality, what then happens? Will this argument ever stop? Is this argument practical? Well, when I come back, I will introduce my guest and we'll find out. And these are, hardliner gender activists who are pushing the gender agenda. And we're going to find out if indeed it is practical. Should they change their stance and soften it a little bit and see if things will go forward? Folks, my name is Nana Ansakwa, and this is PM Express. Don't even move. Well, thank you very much for staying, pushing the Affirmative Action Bill. Now, with me to discuss this very important and delicate issue and complex issue, to my immediate left is Gifty Auntie, a gender activist, host of The Standpoint, as many of you may know. You're welcome, Gifty.
Thank you.
And Diana Adiko, gender advisor. Technical advisor on gender, on the Ministry of Everything. They cover everything. Children, women, social protection. I mean, what is left out?
Men, gender, so men, women.
You see, men, women, children. So Ministry of Everything. Meanwhile, they have a budget for probably half a ministry. And yet they have to produce everything. But Diana, let me start with you. What was the dialogue about today and what was your theme so that we set the ball rolling?
Today we had a very, very interesting conversation at the La Palm Royal Beach Hotel. It was from 4 to 6 p.m. and the focus of the discussion was on the theme. It's a second in a series of dialogues the ministry is having, gender dialogues on varied issues that is related to gender equality and women empowerment. Today's was on the theme promoting gender equality and non-discrimination through affirmative action. And the central point for the discussion was the Affirmative Action Bill that has gone to the AG's office, the Attorney General, who is responsible for drafting laws in Ghana. And the first draft went to them. They reviewed it, brought it back to the ministry to finalize, to fix it up and return to them for approval. Then it goes to Cabinet for approval. Then it goes to Parliament, goes through the stages before it is passed into an act. So the conversation was about that. Different groups of people were present. We had people representing from political parties. We had women activists across board, NGO leaders, and women who work in both international and local space. We had men. We had people from the media. We had people from universities and tertiary institutions across board, and the traditional leaders, religious leaders. So we had about 250 people in attendance, very actively participated. Questions kept coming through till the very last minute. So we think we had a very meaningful conversation. The highlight of it was everybody almost admitted that we needed some form of arrangement as a country that sought to balance things up or fix the historical imbalance that our country faces along certain lines, like gender inequality, or other forms of minority groups who need support to get to the level of equality with other people. So there was a general acceptance that the law had to be passed soon enough. Somebody said the law has to be passed yesterday. So we need it as quick as possible. And we are very proud of the interest. There was the other side of people saying, take it easy, go slow, we have to be careful and all of that. But they were assured by the resource person that the time is now, and we will work with everybody to make sure we get there.
Do you think the time is now, though, Nina? Let me stay with you.
I think the time is past, actually. I think the time is past. Kwame Nkrumah did put in a lot of measures to ensure that women, the first parliament had no woman until Kwame Nkrumah took certain actions, affirmative action, to get women on board. And they made significant contributions to the work of parliament and the country at the time. Along the line, it broke when military efforts came on board. And then we've dipped since then. So it's important. If we are saying women actually form more than 50% of our population, but they are poorly represented in decision-making places like parliament, like government institutions, public institutions, and all of that, then something is wrong. Decisions that are being made about the nation where women are more than 50% are not covering them. So how can we be satisfied that the voices of everybody is around the table, except we're saying that the women don't matter, the men can take the decisions on their behalf and they will be fine. But how effectively can men take decisions, for example, around maternity, maternal health? How effectively can they take decisions? Even, I always say, for example, in the market, women dominate the market space and they contribute so much to the tolls in the market. And usually the market is at the back of the district assembly, if you take Ashama, for example. They are at the back of the assembly contributing the money to the development, but they are not in the assembly making decisions on how those taxes and tolls are being used. Is that fair?
I mean, how important is gender equity? Because you see, as if men are so heartless and that we will draw rules and make sure that women are completely alienated. But the rules are stipulated in the Constitution. I mean, it's there for the taking. I mean, there are no rules that say, well, women can't come here, or women are not allowed in there, or women are not allowed in the assembly. Or, there aren't any rules like that.
Nana, you're a traditional leader. There are rules. Go across the country, you know. Fortunate enough, before Mrs. Charlotte Osei left the NCCE, she had gone around the country. They had done a survey that was quite revealing. One of them was to find out why people don't vote for women and what people look out for to determine who to vote for. And she was telling us at the last dialogue that we had when we launched the 40th anniversary of the women's machinery in Ghana, that there were areas where the chief said, no way, we cannot allow a woman to stand for even an assembly, to become an assembly member or a unit committee member in our society or in our community. If you dare push the women, and you see what happened. There are underlying or undertones.
It must be rare. I mean, it must be one.
I mean, that's just one, because you are a traditional leader. That's why I use that. But there's some unspoken rules and laws in this country where you go in there for a long time, a field like engineering. Women will not even dare go there. We see a woman in female engineering, like suddenly we are so excited. Oh, really? That's a woman who is into mining. We see quite recently, it became a big news when I was in mainstream journalism. It was a big news when we suddenly saw women going into commercial driving. And gradually we forced them out. We see women driving taxis and they become celebrities because it's so rare. So they are there. Some are very subtle, but they are there. We are gradually telling people that this is no space. This is not for women. And it's society. We are not saying that the men are pushing. It's society, and it's been like that for a very long time. It's the way you have been socialized, men, I'm talking about men, being socialized to see women in a certain light. So that when we see even women like Adolf Bekweng, we see Jana Painting, we see Professor Kwame Kakari, we see Professor Dr. When we see them fighting for women, we think, who are these? What is wrong with them? We have even given a face to the word feminism. We think when we say feminism, it's only women. But the dictionary is there for everyone to pick up and study and understand what feminism is about. Just it doesn't give a sex to who a feminist is. It can be a man, it can be a woman, so long as you believe in women, the rights of women, social, political, and legal rights of women. That's all it takes.
Are you saying there are no natural courses in life where things take up certain things, you know, naturally? I'm sure there are the natural courses where, you know, living things with female genes tend to go a certain way, and things with male genes will tend to do certain things.
Apart from getting pregnant, what else?
But
and certain biological features that differentiate men from women. What else?
Likes may
what
change.
Are the
preferences may change.
Exactly.
Smells may change.
Exactly. That's why we're saying that the fact that I'm a woman and you've seen women in your family all becoming caterers or housewives or becoming teachers and nurses, it doesn't mean that when a woman you meet decides to become an engineer, to become a politician, to become a leader of a sort, then it's impossible. I mean, she's trying to break the ranks. She's trying to, you know, upset upset nature, because women are not supposed to be there. That's what we are saying, that people have different preferences. I can decide that I want to be a driver today. I want to drive a tanker or a tipper truck. It's my choice. I should be allowed to do it. But I shouldn't be told that you're a woman, your place is in the kitchen.
Then I agree. But then you tend to find out that you get more boys being drawn towards the tanker than you get more women, more, you know, female being drawn towards the tanker. But the gender agenda seems to an underlying or undertone to say that so far as there's 10 tanker drivers that are male, there should be 10 tanker drivers that are female. That's sort of the message, you know, that comes across.
Okay. Well, I didn't get the message like that. I think what I got in the scenario of the 10 tanker drivers was that let it not be a restricted space for men. Let it be a space when women want to go into, they should easily go into. There should be that opportunity, that nurturing, that support for women who desire to be there, to be there. But the reason it is 10 men most often is because it's been structured in a way that it's convenient only for men. That's one part. The other part is that when we say that men are drawn to certain kinds of things, we should reflect on how we brought them up from childhood till they were boys and men. If we have a male child, what kind of toys do we introduce them to? What kind of encouragement do we give them? What kind of expectations do we have of them, into which we speak into their lives? And what do we do with the girls? If we had a son and a daughter, you realize that when you had a daughter, you did the dolls and all the nice, the cookery stuff, the cookware, and all of those things, the bathing things. You encourage them to do that, to learn how to. It's beautiful to see her doing the hair of her doll with the comb and the napkins, and she's dressed, and it's all girlish. So a dress for them, and I'm bathing and I'm feeding my baby, and the girls really play that role so nicely. You can just see their future from the beginning. And then you get the boys, the football, the guns, the tractors, the cars, and they should go out and play, and they're running around the other boys. So there is, on your mat, get set, go, and we're all going in our separate directions. So those things also inform the way we go. And apart from setting the stage like that, we speak into their lives in that way. Stop being a tomboy. You are behaving like a boy. You are walking like a boy. Stop playing with the boys. People are going to call you names. They have to stay home and learn how to cook. What brought about concessions in schools for people who are transitioning from one level to the other? A lot of people say, Stokini, why should girls, and part of affirmative action in education is like, they reduce the admission grades for girls versus boys. And that provision came out of recognition of the fact that girls face a lot of difficulties in their preparatory stages. Even in exams week, you can't have your mother washing dishes whilst you sit and learn. For the boy, if it wasn't, it's exams time, everybody knows this is a guy, he's preparing. For girls, our domestic roles always led and followed us. You have to take care of your younger sibling, for him to sleep, for her to sleep. You have to feed, you have to clean up, you have to fetch water. Sometimes we restrict our thinking and appreciation of the problem to the big cities. When you go to fetching firewood and water, takes a lot of the girls' time. Menstrual cycle, which is a biological thing, prevented some girls from going to school. When it happened when they wrote their BEC exams, somebody did a very low-scale survey that said that it affected their performance as they wrote the exams. Some of them didn't have the support to even manage their menstrual cycle. It stood against them in their performance in exams. Society's expectation. When there were limited resources to support a boy and a girl in school, the boy got a better advantage because everybody expects him to be that responsible leader in the future. The girl's future could be compromised because she's a girl and she'll be a woman. How big a deal is it? Those are the imbalances we are talking about. Those are the challenges that women face, and those are the things affirmative action seeks to correct.
You see, not schooling a girl is dangerous, and I think everybody by now understands it. But Gifty, you can agree with me. I mean, if you're giving dolls to your son to play with, hey, come and get baby dolls to play with, I mean, the child is probably going to grow up and be queer.
Yeah, he's going to grow up and understand that it's important to take care of those thrust into your care.
Yeah,
to take care of your younger
every
ones.
now and then
so
you
that
see
when
your
you
sister
have
playing with a
children,
doll and
you have to,
a bit. But
yes, so you tell your children that there's nothing wrong with playing with a doll. You tell your daughter that there's nothing wrong with playing with a car or a football or playing basketball.
Be out of sync.
Why?
Why should
exactly? What are we synchronizing? That's
the laws of nature.
That's a good one.
Those are laws of human.
You know, Nana, for a long time we're saying that women is a role of women to cook and all that. But when that check thing came in, I know this scenario had been used several times, but it's so real. Once there was money involved, all the chefs became, all the sellers of check were men.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They were male.
They still are.
Chefs for a long time were only male. And still in our country here, it's only the males who are called chefs. The women are called caterers. For whatever reason.
Yeah.
There are still some girls in this country of ours called Ghana, proud to be the first to gain independence south of the Sahara, proud to be the light of Africa. Yet there are some girls who are even afraid to be the first or second, be among the first three consistently throughout the educational ladder, because they will be tagged.
Witchcraft.
Because they will be called names. They're afraid. There are still girls who think that after their first degree, it's okay. Master's degree, it's enough. Go beyond it. What do you want? You're a woman. We need to break that cycle. All we are doing and what we are trying to do is for people to understand that a woman can go as far as she wants to. And that jinx or myth or whatever must be broken. And once it's broken, it becomes an accepted norm. For a long time, if you see a man selling food, people will call him all sorts of whatever it is. But when they started selling the check and it got accepted, now you go to the market and you see a man selling tomatoes or okra or kobe or whatever it is, or doing banku and tilapia. It's normal. It's accepted. We need to break that. That it's normal to see a woman. Isn't it interesting that Ghana, that's what I find quite interesting, Ghana being the first country south of the Sahara to gain independence. The good old Osei for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah fought to get other African countries to get liberated. Ghana up to today, not even a vice president. Not even a female president. We've had at least 2 African countries. Zambia, when did Zambia get independent? Liberia has it.
Well, but you won't vote for a woman president. I mean, women won't vote for a woman president. Well, that's the thing. But you see, but before we even go to the woman president issue, I mean, don't we have challenges too as men, or should we also form some sort of a group and also, have a dialogue every now and then? I mean, we have our challenges. We haven't gotten it easy, have we, Dan? It's as if men have got it all rosy, and it's only women who, are challenged.
Look at it in a comparative situation. I mean, can you give, okay, let's start. Can you give me an example of some of the challenges men have? Then we can pick the give me one example. What are some of the things?
Man is tired, but woman don't know.
Oh, okay. Let us tell you our version of that. And you see who gets more tired.
Man is tired, but woman don't know.
Man is extremely and desperately fed up with tired.
Not tired, fed up. Fed up. I think you have a platform, your old boys WhatsApp platform. I think we know you diss us there, but we are not interested in reading. So you have a platform. But really, let's be fair to the facts and the statistics. Pick poverty. Look at the poverty statistics. And the ministry I work with is in charge for supporting people who live under the poverty line with some grants, under the LEAP program. And when you look at the statistics, over 60% are women, right? And poor households that are headed by women are in large proportion. What is causing high percentage of poverty amongst women? Low education, harmful traditional practices like child marriage, early child marriage, harmful practices that affect their health like FGM, lack of access and control to family planning, so they have so many children, they are not able to do it. I mean, all of this, so many ownership of and access to and control over resources and land. In so many cultures of our country, women do not own land. You can farm on it. That is the extent to which you can have control over, but you cannot own it. Women do not have, excuse me, do not have access to economic resources. For example, even if I want to run a campaign, I have to depend on male relatives. How do I take charge of my life if the source of income is not mine? How do I make those decisions? Women who have gone to their partners and said, I want to stand for district assembly, said, for the where? Here or today or tomorrow. They do not only threaten divorce, they threaten hunger because the source of income is not theirs, it's for the man or for their brothers. So control over this, so it causes poverty amongst women. And therefore something has to be done to bridge those gaps. And that is what affirmative action is about. We are just being very fair and very frank. If there's no resources, as I said earlier, access to education, the girl will be sacrificed, not the boy, except it's extremely bad before the boy gets out. And even if she's able to go to school, the cultural expectation, traditional beliefs about who a girl is, even affects the kind of programs they take. You have to do home economics, nursing, and all those. You are not even encouraged to be ambitious, to be adventurous. So some of the affirmative action measures included introducing science and math programs to encourage girls to go into areas that are formally not expected or they are not invited into. So it's a very long haul. So many things have affected the opportunities women have. Men have problems. Babies have problems. Babies want to grow. 7-year-old son is in a hurry to become a man. I said, you have talked to daddy and discuss manhood before you rush that road. Everybody thinks they have problems. School kids think they have problems until they become employees and realize that apparently university campus was nicer than this 5 to 8 thing and the deadlines and all of that. So we all do, but what are the real problems that are affecting development? Again, research has shown that women in leadership positions perform maximally well for development. So if you really want to develop, why are we not interested in getting lots more women into decision-making positions? That is why the policy is saying that, for example, in certain kinds of institutions, there should be up to at least 40% recruitment of women. And so they give example like the forces, police, prisons, and all of those. Why do they give specifically for these institutions? Because these are institutions where they are defined as no-go zone for women in the past. I was saying yesterday that for some reason a woman has risen to the position of the head of prison service. God knows it's been not up to 2 years, and this woman is doing, Madam Matilda Bafoe, amazing job with the prison. Very significant reforms, raising funds, improving the prison structures. Can anybody say that she does not deserve to be there? Look at even in the police ranks, even though we do not have our IGP's male, look at the women there who are supporting and are pillars in the police service. Big names. Madam Roseby Atenga. Can anybody, Patience Quay is there, human trafficking. Big names. Can anybody tell me that they do not see the work of these women. Is there a reason that we are not encouraged to have a lot more of them? So we need to rethink the arrangement we have and say that, okay, Matilda and the rest are not doing a good job, so the rest are not. But if they go there, they've proven to do an amazing job. Fortunately, we have a female electoral. I'm particularly excited by it. Very disappointed at the kind of conversation that came along her nomination, her appointment. Her beauty became a disadvantage. I've always thought women being beautiful was a good thing.
Too beautiful
until
and too young.
She's too beautiful and too young. Then people are worried whether she can perform because she's too beautiful. I was like, what? Can it get worse than this? How can being too beautiful be a problem? And she has all the degrees and the certificates. What else do we need to prove ourselves?
Gifty, should this be encouraged through education or should it be encouraged through law?
You see, it should be encouraged through all avenues. It has to be a multifaceted approach. From the home, from the school, from the church, from the mosque, from parliament, through the law courts, from all sectors of the country. We need a concerted approach to this. And you see, let me chip in this. Men shouldn't see it as if we are fighting them to take over their role. No, what we are trying to do is to let them understand. The men, aren't you tired of doing the so-called hard job all on your own? Don't you need help? Don't you need some relief? We want to thank you. We want to help. We want to help you. After all, the Bible says we are helpless, right? So we want to help you to achieve that. Aren't you tired? It needs a really deliberate, concerted approach from all facets of from all angles to tackle this. Because right now, let's take it for now. When it goes to, let's say it goes to cabinet, and we know our president, and we know he's a good man, we know he understands women, he appreciates women, we know he loves his mother and his sisters, and he says so much that he will help us. Thank you, Mr. President. We know he loves his wife very much, yes, and he's going to impress on his ministers, and though we don't have many at cabinet, we hope that they will, agree, and then it goes to parliament. How many women do we have there in parliament?
Well,
if all of them vote en bloc, trust me, this one, it won't be NDC MPP. When it comes to women, we've seen other bills going concerning women and how they attack it as if we are just bringing it there to kill all the men in parliament. But all we are trying to do is to let them understand is that this is for the benefit of every single human being. The well-being of the woman is the well-being of the family, of the community, of the society, of the country.
The woman is leaving the family now. She's
not leaving
venture
the
into
family.
the wilderness. Men are tired. We're tired of the cooking and changing the nappies. And so if you want to help us, help us by cooking and
if you were into that, Father's Day will not be a struggle.
Thank you.
Men were never into let us not distort the fact. That is not fair.
And every empowered woman knows how to keep it all together. And we have 1,001 examples to give you. Empowered women who are married and keeping their home, married over 20-something, some 30 years. And they've been they've been activists, they've been advocates, they've been out there achieving for themselves and for their families. But thank God that they have very understanding husbands who, I'm sure they may have some challenges, but they are firm, they are keeping it together, they are trying to put it all. I remember there was sometimes my program I record on Saturdays, and I always I have to make sure that it has to go very late afternoon, because you need to understand that there are roles, that there are certain things that they need to do before they come here. I know you media people, okay, we have been complaining, it's difficult to get the women to come in there. Look at the time that we're sitting here. Dinah's family is at home, but because, don't close your ears, she has a good husband who understands what her role is, what she's doing, so he's home taking care of the kids. How many women get it like that? How many women? not because the men are bad, but because for a long time they've had it in a certain way. So they don't seem to understand. And we need to break the myth surrounding it. You know, traditionally, our mothers and fathers had a saying, or traditionally say, it's not an insult. It's not a rude statement. A man can do it, a woman can do it. In certain relationships, the men are better cooks than the women. You know, there's nothing wrong with it. There's a woman, I remember a scenario, a very beautiful scenario that Professor Ken Atefa gave. He said, listen, when it comes to certain things, he will gladly do it. But when it comes to the changing of the bulb, he will have to stand on about 10 tables to reach it. But his wife just had to raise her hand, and she will do it. And it's done. It's as simple as that. So there's no, fast and, strict rules to that. We should be able to be versatile, to allow people to be themselves. There are some women who are very technical. They come here and they'll fix anything. And there are certain men who know zilch about electronics.
But I mean, why should we be understanding? Is that not what it's supposed to be? I mean, why should we be
That's
understanding?
how it's supposed to be, but that is not what it is. Thanks to society. We are not limiting it to only Ghana. It's been a battle across the world. Gender activism started years ago. It happened in America. The struggle went on for a very long time before they were able to break through. In Europe, it went through like that. It's time for Africa. In Africa, certain countries have been able to break through. We are still strong. We have made some great strides in Ghana here, and we are very proud of that. We are very proud of that and very happy about that. But we still have a very long way to go. We have a very long way to go, and we need to hasten, maybe slowly though, but we need to hasten it because we are way behind.
I don't know about behind, but I'll take a break here. When I come back, I'm going to Diana to find out, are we reaching the target audience who are supposed to help and back this bill for it to come into future? Because at the end of the day, if we don't own it, it doesn't matter how much laws you pass, it's never going to work. So are we reaching the people who have to own this bill and love it and make sure it works? And then when I come back, we'll go to the phones as well and hear your take from your homes who are watching and see, what do you think? Do you think there's enough equality, or we need a bill for it to back it? Don't move, we're coming back. Well, thank you very much for staying, pushing the affirmative action bill. And with me in the studio is Gifty Auntie, gender activist, and Diana Adiko, also a gender advisor. But before the break, I wanted to find out one thing, but I've added it two. Number one is, are we reaching, I don't know if I can say target audience, but particularly, because there are some women who think, I don't want to hear this, business. But you would have thought that they would all come together, to put weight to it. And what does this whole bill entail, this law, if eventually comes to pass, what does it entail? What's in there?
Okay, let me start from whether we are reaching the target audience. The target audience is, for us, it's everybody in Ghana. It's the society, it's the Ghanaian, the local communities. Because somebody said if you have the law and you don't have the support of family to individual women, they may have all the aspirations, but those things will still hold them down. So they may not get there. So I know a lot of people are asking parliamentarians because they are passing, but even if it comes out, how are communities ready? So as part of our conversation today, we're actually looking at the socio-cultural factors that would impede the effective implementation of this law if it ever comes to pass. And I know it will come to pass. So we want everybody to be informed of it. We want particularly men to have more information, traditional religious leaders. So because when you started your intro, you said, what if the women aren't there? It is, pardon me to say, a very annoying question, but it's a real question. Even though now people are saying women are not there, we think there are a lot of women, we are just not interested in finding them. Believe it or not, if the president, upon appointing the electoral commissioner, took a male, nobody will have realized that we have a quality in person like Madam Salot Osei, would all have been convinced that indeed it is the men who can do this job. And it's not that the president didn't look, he didn't find. But when he looked, he found. And we're saying that if we all look, we will find. For now, yes. But we still also have to develop that critical mass of women in the generations to come, that it doesn't have to be a struggle to say, where do we find women to put? It has to be an automatic thing. So when we have the traditional religious, the school systems recognizing that we need to push women, we'll get that availability to draw from. So that is one part of it. So those are the target. And the ministry which is leading this process has a roadmap on how to work. Part of the requirement is to consult extensively, is to engage the different groups. So we have our engagement in different levels. Part of the group, civil society, the community, public, and all of that. We have the political parties, because they also have, they have been mandated, if the law comes to pass, they'll be mandated to ensure gender equality and make provisions to ensure that women get into leadership positions within their party and subsequently into government if they come into government. So the law has mandated political parties. It speaks about recruitment, for example. I said something earlier about 40% into public offices. And they give examples of specific institutions. And the law has also given regulations about, and in the judiciary, they said ensure gender equity within the judiciary. And then it's also, the specific, it also has provisions on sanctions. Like, first, the law calls for the setting up of a gender equality board. So that board will kind of see to the implementation, a supervisory role into the implementation of the act. Then it gives sanctions. For example, there's a report in every institution that is mandated. For example, every institution is required to have a gender policy. Recruitment at minimum of 40% of women. If you fail, every year you are supposed to submit your gender equity reports.
Because you put in the politics, let me, because the NPP, tried it recently. I'm surprised what they came there to say, because when they tried affirmative action, I mean, all hell broke loose. So this time when they came on the table, have they changed their position, or what are they now saying?
No, I think that is not the way we are looking at it. You see, when you leave it to ad hoc measures at the discretion of individuals, it becomes a problem. That is why a law is required. A law is required to push this through political parties, through educational systems, through government institutions, etc., etc. The NPP tried. All of us, we woke up that morning feeling very proud that what a bold country we are becoming. Very, very excited that the thoughts was very good. Only for a few days for them to leave our website now.
Let me announce the numbers and then join the conversation. It's 0302 211 701 702 703 704. So 0302 211 701 all the way to 4. Calling, and let's see what your take on is on the affirmative action bill. If it becomes a law, what do you think how are you going to treat it, basically? So let's hear you. Let me let you.
So if NPP comes up with a gender policy, that spells out what is in it, like how they spell out how the electoral colleges will function. People will not have doubt and go into emergency meetings to squash an idea.
Hello, John. Let me speak to John. Hello, John. Have I got John?
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening, John.
Yes. Good evening to your cherished viewers.
Good.
I also want to contribute to your program.
Let's hear your contribution.
You know, women, they are our mothers and they are homemakers. Mm-hmm. So since they also want to occupy a political position to help to build this nation, it is a welcome idea, and I support that idea.
John, thank you very much. Let me speak to Fred and get as many calls as possible. Let me speak to Fred. Hello, Fred. Fred, you're online.
Good evening.
Good evening. The line is.
I'm really very happy to.
Your line is very terrible, Fred. Let me go to Ebenezer. Hello, Ebenezer.
Yeah, hello.
Ebenezer, let me hear your take.
Yes, the women are advocating for equality. I want to find out, in the home, like the family, the man is always the one being the breadwinner, as we say it. Is this bill going to bring equality between men and women as far as winning the house is concerned?
Okay.
I don't know if you get my question.
I get your question,
Like,
Ebenezer.
the man will always put money on the table, has chop money. Are the women ready to take care of that?
Okay, I'll put it to them. If you are here, the woman will eat you up. Let me speak to Anthony. Hello, Anthony.
Hello, good evening, Nana.
Good evening.
Yeah, I think it's a very laudable idea, and anytime I see women like those on your set, I feel proud that, I mean...
Oops, the call dropped. Have I got Thomas on the line? Hello, Thomas.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Thomas.
Thomas, let me hear your take on this issue.
Yeah, I do agree with your... Yeah, I want to... I come from your contemporary story. If it comes to law, it will help the country development. For example, let's look at how many accidents has been recorded by women. They are very careful being about them. And if power is given to them, they can do marvelous work for the common of this country. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, there are pros and cons. Unfortunately, that's the only call I can take, so I can round up the show. But there are pros and cons. There's my brother who thinks that, look, we are always leaving chop money and heading the house. Are the women, prepared to take up this role?
You said you should always be the ones to leave chop money. Which rule? Which law?
Well, there is in the law, but I think
society decided, because for a long time it was the men who were going out there.
Hunter-gatherer.
Hunter-gatherer. You go and hunt. When you are coming, you are just holding the whatever you want to hunt. The woman is carrying the load, firewood, is holding the plantain with a baby at the back, with the left hand holding the other child. She gets home, she cooks, prepares, takes care of the children and everything.
My sound man says it's not always the case.
you giving us the hunter-gatherer, analysis. That's what I'm telling you. And most of the time, even the women, the money you put down, who tells you that money, the woman doesn't add anything to it? Who tells you that she doesn't contribute anything to it? But in any case, we are not saying that it should be that. So yes, we want to contribute. So we'll all go out there. We'll all contribute to the chop money. We'll contribute to paying the school fees. We'll all go and come back. We'll all contribute and cook. We'll all contribute and clean the house. Since we are contributing to everything, as somebody said.
Sarah, my director, is also yelling that the money is always not enough, but it shows which part of the meat you want to.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Sarah. That's so true.
There's a lot of backroom going on. The money is not enough, yet they're showing which part of the meat they want.
The chicken, they don't like the neck.
But how should we win, Dinah? We have to win. So how do we win on this issue?
I think how we should win is to communicate what is in it very clearly, and to assure our male counterparts that it is not it's a win-win affair. Nobody's out to take it. I think if men appreciate that this is actually going to help them relieve, for every woman who is well educated and works hard, her children ends up better than uneducated poor women. So if your wife is educated, your sister is educated, your family is likely to go up. If your wife is working and is well connected, your children and your family are going to do better. So it's a win-win for everybody. And it is not actually people taking positions from each other.
Well, to both of you, since you are dynamic speakers, the posture is as if you versus us. There's that communication. It's not being said, it's not being written, but it comes out of this feminism, gender activism. So you put everybody on the defense that, no, we don't, they're going to take the remote controls from us and then That's it. You know, so maybe, I don't know how it's going to be done, but communicate it differently. Because like you're saying that, oh, you know, it's not like this, you know, we just want to come in and help. And that's not the communication.
Are we the ones communicating it wrongly, or is the men who are not understanding where we are coming from because they're not used to hearing such messages?
Well, unfortunately,
it's a two-way affair. So yes, let's converge and synchronize.
At this point, we know how to. But I think advice is well taken. That if the narrative should change, the content remains the same, but the narrative, we would. It's worth noting, and we want the likes of you to continue to do this, have these conversations, and let people. Yeah, I mean, you have the ears of a lot of people, so tell them you are not afraid, and they'll come along.
We are not adding, including men. Now a lot of men are being included. Now we have to change the language. We'll change the language.
Folks, that's all time will allow us. It's been very educative, very informative, and very entertaining. Affirmative Action Bill going through the process to become a law so that there will be gender equity in Ghana. And I want to say thank you very much to Tantiz, who sews my shirts. Now you can read Tantiz on 024-366-2001. 024-366-2001.
Is Tantiz a man or a woman?
A woman. She's a woman. Tantiz Fashion. So it's a woman who makes my shirts. You know, so.
I mean, the other things women.
You see, you know. Tomorrow, Thursdays between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. I'm sure most of you follow That's My Opinion on Joy FM, Joy 99.7. Tune in tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm in dialogue. I have two shows for you. Either Barges Indeed or The Consideration Killer, or Dunfu Kunfu. So one of it is going to happen. I don't know which yet, but I have two shows lined up. Barges Indeed or Consideration Killers, or Dunfu Kunfu. What are we going to talk about? My name is Nana Sakwao. And tomorrow we'll be back to do this all over again. Thank you.